Re-ranking the 2019 Sweet 16, who looks strongest after 2 rounds. In the colorful history of Selection Sunday outrages, the 2019 was met with limited furious fanfare. The soft bubble left, and for all that fairness, we were rewarded with one of the chalkiest first weekends ever, with 14 of the top 16 seeds still alive and all of the top 12 teams still dancing. At the hands of it, despite all those predictable second weekend participants, it's not like we didn't learn anything from 2 rounds of largely predictable outcomes. After processing it, the Zags are the only number 1 seed that didn't play with its food in the first round, blasting Fairleigh Dickinson 8-7-4-9 before a nearly wire-to-wire win over Baylor. Against inferior, they may have taken a backseat to full-strength Duke and Virginia in the national title conversation during the season thanks to some puzzling non-conference losses, but the Tar Heels are a difficult national title contender to argue against in a tournament setting, where their breakneck pace and relentless rebounding can expose everyone but the elite of the elite teams. UNC has a top overall seed or no top overall seed. You can't, as much as Duke did this weekend, and still enter the Sweet 16 as the scariest team in the country. The Blue Devils, after failing to separate from Bradley until the final 5 minutes of their opening game, the Spartans needed less than 5 minutes to separate from Big Ten foe Minnesota in the second round. The back spasms, the Red Raiders, owners of KenPom's number 1 defense, have, and that streak may continue in the Sweet 16 against a Michigan team with limited consistent offensive options. Texas Tech's, the Wolverines have taken as much pressure as possible off their offense, allowed fewer points through the first 2 rounds than every Sweet 16 team except Kentucky, but will an elite team put more strain than Montana or Florida could on their offense by committee approach? Charles Matthews 20.
Raindrops, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.